When my husband and I got married, we created our own vows, but also said the traditional ones. One line in our vows has come to my mind lately, and it's where you say, "Will you forsake all others and be faithful to him as long as you live?" "I do," I said, and I have kept that promise. To forsake all others is making a promise to give your undivided loyalty to your spouse, prioritizing them above all other relationships and self-interests. Saying "I do" to a pledge like that is heavy. The line has been etched in the Christian thought process since 1549 when Thomas Cranmer wrote it in the Book of Common Prayer. Marriage was seen as a spiritual practice of lifelong commitment, and it was modeled after our commitment to God. There are multiple references to the church as the bride of Christ. John the Baptist calls Jesus the bridegroom, John 3:29. Paul says this more explicitly in Ephesians 5:25 through 27 and 2 Corinthians 11:2. Revelation actually ends with the imagery of the New Jerusalem being described as a bride coming down out of heaven to be reunited with God. Right after this picture of a bride joined to God is Revelation 21:3. It's one of my favorite verses because I think it sums up the whole gospel, which reads, "Then I heard a loud voice from the throne. Look, God's dwelling is with humanity, and he will live with them. They will be his peoples, and God himself will be with them and will be their God." I think there are certain vows we must take as Christians in order to see this promise in Revelation 21:3 fulfilled. I think we are asked to forsake all others in order to be joined with Christ. Since Genesis 3 and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, in which Adam and Eve could, if they disobeyed, become like God, we have seen a breaking of the vows. They chose love of power over love of God. Power has been the greatest temptation of humanity ever since. We see it in the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11, 1 through 9. We see it in Exodus 5, where Pharaoh clings to power rather than submit to Moses and his God. We see it in 1 Samuel 8, 4 through 7, when Israel demands a king because they crave political power over spiritual dependence. Jesus, the ultimate source of power, sits in the upper room with his disciples and tells them that he will empty himself of power and submit himself to be crucified. Do you want to know their response to this demonstration of ultimate sacrificial love? They immediately clamored for power. Luke 22:24 reads, "Then a dispute also arose among them about who should be considered the greatest." Jesus gives them a direct instruction about the danger of pursuing power and reminds them that he came to exemplify how the bride of Christ should operate. Verses 25 through 28 reads, "But he said to them, 'The kings of the Gentiles lord it over them. It is not to be like that among you. On the contrary, whoever is greatest among you should become like the youngest, and whoever leads like the one serving. I am among you as the one who serves.'" Christianity is not a religion to be wielded by the powerful, though we have been tempted to do just that since the very beginning in Genesis 3. Christianity is a religion that submits itself to the service of one another and to Christ. We are to choose love over power, even when it costs us position. We are to forsake all others and all competing desires that would work in opposition to the love of God and neighbor. Historically, the church has broken its vows, but God's grace is sufficient for us. We can return and God will remove our shame. We can choose the path of love above all else. Today, right now, we can recommit ourselves to the narrow way. As for me and my house, I do. Let me pray with you. Lord, we give you our lives and all of our days. Please guide us into your light. I'm Heather, and I'll see you next Friday night.